Have you ever clicked your mouse right here? You will. That simple AT&T ad from 1994 was the first ever on a news website. You might say that small rectangle launched a $777 billion online ad industry. Players like Facebook and Google became the gateway to content and eventually pulled the rug out from under journalism. This is the story of how big tech swallowed the news and the long overdue fight to reclaim it. In 2000, newspaper ad revenue in the US raked in nearly $50 billion a year. As the decade unfolded, nearly every major outlet was publishing news online, largely for free. By 2011, more Americans were reading news on the internet than in print. Publishers didn't know how to operationalize making money from digital news. The bigger problem? Google and Facebook did. Platforms didn't just become dominant. They became major gateways to information, siphoning off audience attention and the ad dollars that once funded newsrooms.
It is our mission to try to help connect everyone around the world and to bring the world closer together. In order to do that, we believe that we need to offer a service that everyone can afford, and we're committed to doing that.
Well, if so, how do you sustain a business model in which users don't pay for your service?
Senator, we run ads.
By 2017, Google and Facebook were pocketing roughly 60% of all US digital ad spend. By the mid-2010s, news revenues had fallen to 1950s levels. To survive, publishers scrambled to appease algorithms, shorter stories, mass-produced content, clickbait. That paid the bills, so journalism adjusted, and the new race to the bottom was set. And just as publishers were struggling to compete, another hit came. This time from the advertising side, brand safety technology, aka block lists. What started as a reasonable idea, like don't put an airline ad next to a plane crash story, quickly turned into an overzealous filtering machine that treated most real news as dangerous. Block lists didn't just target unsafe content, they flagged the news itself. Over 40% of the Washington Post's inventory was blocked. 63% of Newsweek's was blocked. Coverage areas largely wiped out by a single keyword, like bomb, election, fire, or war. Time magazine's article naming Taylor Swift as the Person of the Year in 2023 was flagged as unsafe because it mentioned a war on feminism. While brand safety tech was meant to be a shield, it became another choke point on journalism's business model. Then came the legal backlash. In a single year, 2 separate courts found Google liable for unlawful monopolies, 2 monopolies related to search, and 2 more in ad tech. At the center of both cases, publishers. The government argued that news outlets had become completely dependent on Google because it owned the buy-side tools, sell-side tools, and ad exchange in between. DoubleClick's CEO admitted in late 2008, early 2009 that switching ad servers would require an act of God. Then came the search ruling. A federal judge found Google illegally maintained a monopoly over search, thwarting innovation and locking out about 90% of the market. As if the news industry hadn't gone through enough, another fast-moving threat: AI search.
This is a shift in the platform of how people consume information. The same way that we went from the web on your laptop to social to mobile, moving to AI is changing the way that we're going to consume information. It's going to fundamentally change the business model of the internet.
OpenAI, Anthropic, and Perplexity have scraped mountains of news articles to train their models, mostly without paying news publishers, and then sent less referral traffic than traditional search or social. Sound familiar? It's deja vu from the early days of the internet. Free news fueling multi-billion-dollar platforms. This death by 1,000 cuts has led to a stunning decimation of the news industry. Over 75% of newsroom jobs in the US are gone since 2005. $28 billion in revenue has been wiped out over 20 plus years, a 41% drop. Nearly 40% of local newspapers have vanished in the 2 decades, leaving 50 million Americans in news deserts. Clicks and impressions built the internet, and they have also helped dismantle the economics that funded news. And even after all that, some news executives think the news industry needs more swagger.
Adversity breeds opportunity. And so you can think about adversity or changing landscape or changing business models, and you can be fearful about it and you can try to push back, or you can lean into it. I think what we're doing is we're leaning into it.
Today, publishers and journalists are trying something radical, taking control back. To do that, they're going back to basics by reconnecting and deepening relationships with their audiences. People they know, not algorithms they chase. They're sitting on a goldmine of first-party data from logged-in readers. That data helps them target audiences, personalize content, and reach those groups. New models are gaining momentum. Newsletters, podcasts, live events, and subscriber communities are creating direct connections with readers throughout their day. And on the back end, more outlets are making their supply path stronger to stop value from leaking away. Slowly but surely, quality is rising to the top, and clickbait is fading away. Even in the AI age, real, deeply reported, original content is proving hard to replace.
A year ago, the VCs and the technologists believed if you just slammed enough information into an AI system, you'd never need content ever again, and that the brain itself was the moat. Then DeepSeek proved that the brain wasn't a moat, that reasoning is a commodity. But the market dynamics have not caught up to that reality, but that is the reality. So I am optimistic that content goes back to a premium position in this.
Ad tech helped drive the news business into crisis. Now the question is whether its more open, transparent evolution can finally help publishers reclaim agency in an AI-shaped world.